Hey everyone, welcome back. This is lesson 7, and honestly, it's one of my favorites. Today we're talking about curiosity, specifically how you as a parent can become one of the most powerful models of inquiry your child will ever have. And I want to say up front, this lesson is not about doing more. It's actually kind of the opposite. So stick around for the end, and I think you'll find it pretty refreshing. So what's the big goal here? By the end of this lesson, you'll have a clear sense of how modeling curiosity in your everyday life directly shapes how your child approaches learning, not just at school, but throughout their whole life. So here's what we'll be covering today. We'll look at your role as the model and the learner, and what it actually means to demonstrate inquiry to your kids, and why curiosity matters so much for lifelong learning. Then we'll get into some really practical everyday ideas that you can try. And we'll also look at how curiosity connects to resilience and global competence, two things that IB genuinely cares about. And we'll wrap up with some family activities that will make inquiry feel natural rather than just like homework. So let's start with something that might shift how you think about your role at home. As we've said before, research tells us that parents aren't just teachers or rule setters. You're actually co-learners alongside your kids. And the way you see your own role in education shapes whether your child sees learning as something that happens to them at school or something that's just a part of life. 3 things really matter here. First, your beliefs about what your role even is. Do you see yourself as someone who models curiosity or just as someone who checks homework? Second, your confidence in being able to influence your child's learning. And third, staying open. Because when kids sense a genuine openness in you, they're much more likely to bring their questions your way. The thing about curiosity is, it's contagious. Children don't just learn what we teach them, they copy what they see us doing. So, what does modeling inquiry actually look like day to day? It can be as simple as saying out loud, "I wonder why the sky looks pink tonight," on your walk home. Or, when you genuinely don't know something, just say so. And then you can look it up together. That moment of not knowing and being okay with it is far more powerful than any answer you could give. You can share something that you learned at work, or a random fact that you came across. You can start a wonder wall at home, where anyone can post a question and it stays up until somebody investigates it. The point isn't to have all the answers. It's just to show your kids that learning is never really finished, and that isn't actually a bad thing. So pause here and take a second to think about this. Have you ever been modeling inquiry without even realizing it? Maybe you were fixing something around the house and talking through the problem out loud. Maybe you got genuinely excited about something that you read. Maybe you asked your child a question you actually didn't know the answer to yourself. Go ahead and jot down some of the ideas that you can think of. I think you'll be surprised how often you're already doing this without really trying. So why does this actually matter? The IB talks about nurturing curiosity as one of the defining traits of how they want students to move through the world, not just in school, but throughout their whole lives. And the reasons make a lot of sense when you think about them. Curious kids explore things independently. They're more open to other people's perspectives, and they're better at sitting with uncertainty because they've learned to see it as something interesting rather than something to avoid. And here's one that often gets a little bit overlooked. Curiosity keeps adults adaptable. In this world that is changing fast, the skill of knowing how to learn, not just what to learn, is one of the most genuinely useful things your child can develop. At home, this can look as simple as validating questions without rushing to answer them, letting things stay a little messy, praising the act of wondering just as much as the act of finding the right answer. One of my favorite tools for sparking curiosity in school is the what if question. It sounds simple, but it's genuinely powerful. These kinds of open-ended questions push kids beyond just recalling facts. They get into the imagination, prediction, and reasoning. And you can ask them from anywhere. At the dinner table, on the way to school, waiting for the bus. Try something like, what if our family could only eat one type of food? Or, what if pets went to school, like kids do? These aren't really trick questions. There's no right answer. The whole point is the conversation that follows. There are a couple of practical ideas that you could try if this doesn't come as naturally to you. Maybe you can put together a curiosity jar where everyone in the family drops in a question during the week, and then you pull one out at dinner time and discuss. Or someone in the family could hold a curiosity journal where kids write or draw whatever they're wondering about during the day. It's low pressure and it can potentially give a genuinely high return. There's a really interesting connection between curiosity and resilience that's worth sitting with. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset found that kids who view difficulty as an opportunity and not a threat are more likely to stick with hard things. And curiosity is basically the engine that makes that possible. When something is difficult, a child asks, "What can I learn from this?" instead of shutting it down. In practice, this looks like noticing when your child tries a different approach, not just when they get the right answer. It means normalizing mistakes, asking, "What did we learn from this attempt?" instead of moving past it quickly. And it can be as playful as posing a question. How many different ways can we stack these cups before they fall? There's no agenda, it's just curiosity, given room to breathe. Here's something that connects this lesson to the bigger picture of what IB education is trying to do. Global competence, the ability to investigate the world, understand different perspectives, communicate across differences, and then take meaningful action. It's all built on a foundation of curiosity. Kids who are genuinely curious about people and places beyond their own experience are already developing the empathy and intercultural awareness that global competence requires. And you can encourage that at home without doing anything dramatic. Talk about the news from other countries. Ask why people somewhere else might see something differently. Perhaps you can cook a recipe from another culture and talk about where it comes from. Or you could watch a documentary about something unfamiliar together and let your own curiosity run alongside your child's. Have fun. Time to pause. What activities or strategies have actually worked for you when it comes to encouraging curiosity at home? It might be something structured like a weekly question or a game. Or it might be something that you stumbled into, a great conversation that started from a weird question your kid asked out of nowhere. Take a moment and think about what has worked. It's worth holding onto these things intentionally and using them to help you come up with other ideas. Okay, so we know this is important, and if you're struggling to figure out where to start, it's okay. Here's a few specific activities that you can try out. Firstly, curiosity walks, and it's exactly what they sound like. You go outside with the goal of asking questions, not finding answers. The rule is, you don't need to explain anything, you just notice the tiniest blade of grass, the texture of a tree, or you look as far as you can possibly see, and you just wonder together. You can also try a family what-if jar or something like a wonder wall. This keeps inquiry a regular part of the family life rather than something that only happens in rare teachable moments. Something that works well with certain kids is role reversal teaching. Your child can explain something to you, and it doesn't really matter if it's a video game or a sport or a school topic. It's explaining something that they know will help build confidence, and it shows that expertise runs in both directions. You can also have a global connections night. This is simple, where you just pick a country that you can explore together. Maybe you listen to their music, you eat their food, you talk about their traditions. No agenda, just curiosity. And you can maybe come up with some curiosity challenges. These are great for hands-on families where you build the tallest tower from paper, for example, or invent a new game, or design an eco-friendly gadget. The challenge gives it structure, the curiosity is the actual point. Okay, this is the slide that I mentioned at the start, and I really mean what it says. Before recording this lesson, I have read a book recently called Hunt, Gather, Parent. And one of the main things that I took away from it is how hands-off patience and encouragement from parents can have a really strong impact on children. That autonomy that they have, that sense of responsibility for their own growth really goes a long way. And connected to this lesson, I think that children are biologically wired to be curious. We don't necessarily have to manufacture these opportunities for them. Sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do is to genuinely get out of the way. You don't need to be an engineer and create every single moment perfectly for your children, boredom is actually fine. It's the brain getting restless in a productive way. You don't need to have all the answers. Saying, "I don't know, let's find out," is one of the most powerful things that you can model as a parent. And you don't need to schedule curiosity. A real question on a walk will always beat a structured activity at a table. And you don't need to do more. Sometimes doing less, stepping back, giving space is exactly what a naturally curious, inventive kid actually needs from you. So take a breath. You're doing more than you think. And there we have it. So here, as always, is the experimentation log, and it's here for you to take something from this lesson and actually try it. Just pick one small thing, not a big overhaul, just one change this week. Write down what you plan to do, what you actually did, what happened, and what you would try and tweak next time. This log isn't about getting it right, it's about staying curious yourself, which fittingly is exactly what this whole lesson has been about. So that's lesson 7. I hope it left you feeling a bit more confident and honestly a bit less pressured about how you can support your child's learning at home. If you've got a moment, the feedback QR code is on the screen. It takes about 2 minutes and it genuinely helps shape what comes next. Thank you. So coming up in lesson 8, we're going somewhere a lot of parents find really challenging: technology and learning. How do you navigate screen time, digital tools, and all the noise that comes with it in a way that actually supports your child rather than stressing everybody out? I hope to see you there.